Down to Chat is brought to you by swag.com. We are going to be talking more about employee retention in this podcast. And I think one of the super important parts of keeping employees is making them feel valued. It's core to company culture. It's core to making people feel welcome. And so many brands pull out this janky old swag that people don't want to keep. Swag.com is exciting because they carry thousands of incredible products, from custom tech to apparel like North Face and Yeti and Nike and so much more. Swag.com works with 5,000 companies like Amazon, Netflix, Spotify, TikTok, Google, Apple, and a whole bunch of small startups. What the most exciting thing for Swag, the most exciting thing for me on Swag.com is that you can create these custom gift templates where when somebody joins your company, they fill out a form. They go onto this landing page. I know Cody's a big landing page guy. Hop on a landing page and you can actually, brand this landing page, and it feels like your company's swag selection page, which is absolutely awesome. And you can ship 50 different swag boxes to 50 different addresses all on their site. So excited for that. If you use promo code D2C10 at checkout, you get 10% off your first order. Check it out, swag.com.
You want the right words in the right people's mouths, and then they build the brand. And you can't, it's hard to hack your way to that.
We're back. We're at it again. I don't even know what episode we're at right now. I think we're at 7. This was an interesting one because we had a planned guest, and kind of last minute, he had a family emergency. And if you listen to the last episode, Cody and I were chatting about Matt and the team from Pela and Lomi. And we're like, oh, that would be super cool if we can have Matt on the podcast to talk about Pela and Lomi. So, hey, Matt.
Yeah, and then I saw Cody post yesterday that somebody bailed on you, and I'm like, you know what? Screw it. I'll do this. I didn't realize that you guys were mentioning us on the last one either, though. That's just, dude, this shit was meant to be.
That's 100%.
Seriously. Well, no, happy to have you. We're huge fans. Definitely, I learned a ton from you guys, and we chatted about you last time because we were just talking about brands that we think are building a little differently. Eli and I are very anti-growth hacky. We're very big brand guys for people who aren't brand marketers, but trying to play a long-term game, trying to treat the customer right. And as everyone knows, DTC can be very performance first, growth hacky. And I know you and I have had some conversations, but yeah, feels like you're kind of the same way, huh?
Yeah, I think it might be an age thing. I've been at this a long time, and I'm getting kind of old now, and
you don't look
seen
old.
A lot. Thank you. There's a lot of gray in my hair, dude. And it's happening on the face right now too. Yeah, I think it's once you've been in the game a long time, as I suspect you guys have, you start to realize that a lot of the tactical stuff is very short-term driven, might work for a moment, doesn't really do a lot for you over the long run. And I think I think if your goal is to build something that's longer lasting, then you can't actually be super growth hacky.
I think what
you in building.
Is that from experience? I don't want to say I was a big growth hacker. I've always hated that term, but I was very hardcore direct response.
Yeah, me too, man.
You can't track it, doesn't matter.
I spend an odd amount of my time writing copy.
Yeah, I've seen that. It seems like you're very fascinated, and seems like you're kind of studying a lot of traditional DR direct response.
I do,
copy.
Yeah. Except and I think that honestly, okay, so part of it's experience. Part of it is also that with the kind of customer we have, particularly for Lomi, they don't respond well to the more traditional DR stuff. Okay. I've even gone so far as to test the think of a pre-purchase welcome flow email series, right? I've tested the hardcore, the straight text shit that you get.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're doing, yeah.
I've tested man, I've even ripped off the classic sales letter of from the Wall Street Journal. It's the two guys went to college.
Yeah. I've handwritten that one a few hundred times.
I have ripped that off and written a version of that for Lomi in the flow, and bar none, what works best. So I've done this 7 series hardcore DR email pre-purchase thing versus the very branded, very pretty, super high-end imagery. and not a lot of copy, and the imagery whips the shit out of the copy. And it's like, and I'm pretty good at the copy.
I was gonna say it's pretty interesting because like from like a GR perspective, like that's definitely against like what a lot of people are finding that works, and it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, ours like. I think that like it's super situational. I think Lomi's a $500 product. The customer's like average age is over 40, has kids, like mom or 60% women, 40% male. It's like pretty affluent customer. Like our top households and top zip codes. Like we spend a lot of time thinking about like geography and super geos and who's the super consumer. It makes sense for us that like a much more elevated brand image and experience would work for that crowd.
Right? You think it's partly like a status play?
It's status for sure. Like our customer is not, I mean, we definitely have them, but like I would describe our customers like not the hardcore green eco person. Like, the best example of like who our customer is like the Kardashians have Lomis.
Oh, right? Really?
Like that's our customer. Oh yeah.
I was about to say, right?
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah. It was on the show. Yeah.
Oh man. Was that naturally they bought it or you guys seeded to them?
Yeah, no, they bought them. They bought them last
awesome.
year for like all their friends for Christmas. So like I did a Zoom call with Kim and the family ahead of time. Like
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's super cool.
And that was like 100% like, Kim sent us a DM on Instagram saying like, "Hey, my name's Kim."
My name's Kim.
I'm like, dude,
we know who you are.
Like, hey Kim, got you.
Wait, can we take a step back for a second, because I know we are very familiar with Pela, Lomi, what you do. If somebody looks up, Matt on LinkedIn, you'll kind of see somebody that is a veteran, has been doing this for a while, has built many successful businesses, has a background in finance and a bunch of other fun stuff. But I think if you head to the site and you start going through that discovery, like who is this guy? The first thing you see is like these folks are on a mission to unfuck the planet, which I think is stellar. But I think just, like you're selling phone cases, you're selling a countertop compost machine. Both of those things seemingly off the top can be like, okay, what do those have to do with one another? Once you do the research, you see they really do. So less about you, more about like, what are you up to? What are you doing?
I'm like I think I'm starting to describe myself as like the first internet garbage man.
That's great.
Like that's my pitch. I used to like people used to ask me what I do, and like I sell shit on the internet, and then now I'm just like, no, I'm actually just a garbage man. And amazing. So like look, Pela, I'm very interested in waste. So like our Pela case business was like I was the first outside angel investor in like Pela, the company, right? 5 years ago. I still had my old company at that point. Like I was just in the process of selling it.
What was that? What was the old company?
So I own a company. It's actually called Bounteous now. So it's like a really large software development shop. Okay. Like we built the Domino's e-commerce app. Like it's like 1.5 billion a year and transact. It was like stupid at the time.
Crazy.
Like my last company, we built like Shopify, like Staples Canada. We built them out on Shopify. We ran like the tech stack for the entire province of Alberta. So like if you had to pay a parking ticket in Alberta, we built that. So like I've just been selling and I've just been doing this e-commerce thing for a while.
Do you have a technical background?
What's that?
Do you have a technical background?
I'm a software developer. Yeah.
Jeez, man, you're a little bit of everything. Like you're a copywriter, you're a CEO. I know you're a big leadership guy. That's awesome.
Yeah, again, just old. It's time in the oven, guys. Like it's you go from like in my teens, and I started coding when I was like 11. I was in my teens and 20s. Everything was about code. Started my first company when I was 20. I want to say 26, 27. And then I sold it, like bootstrapped it, built it over 10 years, about 120 employees, sold it to private equity. And then kind of like invested in Pela because I loved Jeremy, the founder, had invented this material that he made a phone case out of, and it was like backyard compostable. And I just loved let's go after plastic waste. Like waste is super interesting. And what the fun part is, like I get to do it in like a consumer first kind of ground up way. Whereas a lot of people who work in this space go top down, like they think big systems, big infrastructure. It's like government, big business. And my view on the matter is like 3/4 of the economy is consumer. So I think we need to spend some time there.
Right.
That's it. That's the like
Phone
easier to reach.
cases.
A little bit easier to reach, easier to get started, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So like the phone case business was fascinating. Like when I invested, that was pre-revenue. Hadn't really figured out like who the customer was yet. You know, like I would say like definitely didn't have product market fit. That took maybe a good 7-8 months to find out like, okay, who buys this and why? And then that thing just like, that took off like a rocket, man. That went from 0 to 30 million a year in like 2.5 years.
Sheesh.
You know, that was in like, I want to say
Phone
18,
cases.
19.
It's crazy.
It's nuts, you know, but like, again, like it was a completely new category in a very bloody, very competitive ocean. You know, like that's a multi-billion dollar category. Apple releases new phones every year. It's like clockwork, you know?
But Matt, I think what people generally think is they look at phone cases, they're like, it's a race to the bottom. Like you can buy a
100%.
$6 phone case, right?
Yeah, no,
Pela
I
is
sell
this
them for
anomaly.
like 50 or 60.
Yeah.
Category creator.
Right. Yeah. So it's like, I'm a huge fan of category creation. Like I geek out on category creation, which is why I spend so much time on copy, because like, I think when you create categories, you most of the work is actually just in the words you use to describe the category. And then like the words, you know, the category creation playbook is like, you got to put the right words in the right people's mouths, you know, like Cody, going back to your brand thing, like that's basically what you're doing when you're building a brand is like, you want the right words in the right people's mouths, and then they build the brand, you know, and you can't, it's hard to like hack your way to that.
Yep.
That shit just takes time.
Yeah. I guess that's what brand is. Yeah. I always talk about kind of brand or branding for, you know, consumer companies being about what people say about you and how people feel about you. And I agree.
Yeah.
Like brand is like putting that in their mouths. It's arming them with the emotions of what to say.
Yeah. That's the feeling part that doesn't get talked about enough. I don't think it does. Like, I know Eli, like that's a big thing for you, but, you know, the feeling part, like, so if you spend some time in psychology, like memory comes from emotion. You know, like when you look back at your life and you look at like all your memories, right? Those like the things that you remember, they typically have like good or bad emotions tied to them. So it actually, like if you're out to build a brand, a meaningful brand, like you really got to think about how you've made somebody feel the whole way. Because that's probably what they're going to remember. Right? Is that feeling. Like they probably won't remember what you said. They're not going to remember the picture or the words. Like they'll definitely remember how you made them feel.
Matt,
that's what brand is. Yeah. I mean, that's a fair way to sum up. That's what brand is. And everyone gets so caught up in the colors and the logos, but like, that's just a tiny, it's a tiny part of what you're trying to do, which is influence how they feel.
Yeah. Like that stuff matters in so much as like first impression, you know, but like I couldn't draw most logos from memory, even the big ones. Like I'd probably screw up Apple. I'd probably screw up Netflix. Like these are things you see every day and you still, I think that's not what you remember.
I think for me, Matt, when we connected a while back, I mean, this is probably smackdown in COVID on Clubhouse. And I remember hearing, I mean, I've heard about Pela for a while, and I think, you know, you and I connected on this, you know, customer experience tying into branding, like the way people feel is how they associate the brand. And I think, you know, we've spoken about the fact that people spend $1 zillion on their unboxing experience, but then when shit goes wrong, you're just like, oh, I have no one to talk to. So you spend like $800 on a machine, you get the machine, it breaks, you have no one to talk to, but the unboxing was stellar.
Yeah.
And I that's like the first, I think you were one of the first people in this industry with a brand that actually was doing insane revenue. That was like, no, we keep CX here. We focus that, we go crazy on it. We have a full team doing it. And I think that's like, I mean, this is, if there's no other proof that like putting experience and the way you feel first is like the path to a 9-figure business, I think
you have to,
I think this is a good place to start.
You can definitely, like, there are people, like there's people we know that do it, like that have done like the DR thing well into the 9 figures. Like, you know, I'm in a few text groups and they pull it off. But I think that's like, at some point you switch to, okay, what's the longevity of this? Right. Eli, I agree. I think that, I look at me, like nothing in my business pisses me off more than when we fail on the experience side. So like, we're like, even right now, like we're failing in so many areas post-purchase, actually even pre-purchase, like the phone number and like live video support is something that I think like we never even thought we had to do that. And then we started doing all this analysis on on our Lomi customer base, and you're like, wow, they're old. Like like we're a third boomers, a third Gen X, and a third millennial, and less than 5% of our customers are Gen Z. And yet we built the entire experience based on our experience with Pela Case, which is Gen Z. It's like 22-year-old, travel the world female who wants to save the planet. Like that's the Pela Case customer. And if like the one of the reviews I saw this morning was like, I'm 70 years old and I love my Lomi, blah, blah, blah. Like it's just like they're 70, like it's just a different customer. And I think we have to look at that now and say, okay, like how do we design a much better, like, what I'm obsessed with right now is, I don't know, Eli, if you've ever done this or Cody, but like I'm obsessed with trying to bring almost like a software product onboarding experience, but to Lomi.
So funny you say that. That's literally what we talked about or have been talking about. Like,
yeah.
What do you mean by that?
So like, okay, so for a Lomi, we know that if a person's first cycle is great, they're a fan for life. Mm-hmm. Like, it's just like if the first time they put something in there and then they run it and they check in the morning and all they see is dirt, it's like, like they literally use the word magic. Okay.
And how do you know that? What is that? Is that something qualitative? Is that something just anecdotal?
Like we see it in our reviews, we see it in feedback. Okay. Like if it's not a good first cycle, like that's where customer support tickets come from. Like it's always like, I tried this and it didn't quite work as I thought it would. Am I doing it wrong? Okay, so
I'm just hearing expectation just ringing in my head 1,000
versus
times.
reality, right? Like that's perception. So perception is reality. And so for me, what we're thinking a lot about right now is like, once you buy Lomi, can I deliver almost like a Geek Squad, Nerds on Patrol, like offer the ability for somebody to jump on FaceTime with one of our team to help them set the machine up. Like just like it'll take 3 minutes, 3 minutes to onboard a user into like Lomi, into their life. And think of what that does for the entire rest of their journey with the product.
Like a superhuman. Are you a superhuman
Like
user?
Superhuman. This is like, I based it entirely on Superhuman. I remember my experiences. I'm like, man, this is genius. Like I still use the damn thing because somebody took the time to show me, and like I didn't just like fall off because I'm lazy,
Yeah. We're thinking about the same way. Like I originally kind of brought up to Eli after listening to like an Alex Hormozy video where he's talking about it. And like I followed Alex for years because I used to be a gym owner, and like I was like a hardcore marketer. Like marketing is all that matters. Like it doesn't even matter that you have a good product. And it's like, obviously that's the dumbest thing in the world, but it's like, for context, what he was talking about was like you using all of this data, like having your data in one place and using your data to kind of figure out what are the key milestones that your best customers are going to have. And Eli and I have looked in the past a lot at like cohort data based on like traffic source, first product, stuff like that. But outside of that, we still use that. We're trying to look at like what do all our best customers, whether that's by NPS or retention or anecdotal, like, what do they have in common? And I think for us, it's like our products are category creators. Like they're not typical beauty products. So using them correctly is the most important thing. It's like the more we arm people, because like, for example, like my wife didn't actually like the products very much. And like, that's Bobby's daughter-in-law. Like she didn't like them very much. And then eventually like 4 or 5 months later, she did it. Like had to do some content and some like Instagram lives with Bobby. And like, it's like, oh, I see how to use this. Like it just took me a while. And like now she uses them. So again, you're huge on category creator. Like if you're selling, if you're Matt Happy and you're selling shirts, it's probably not that important. But if you're selling something, like I'll give you, for example, the first time I got out of my Tesla, it took me 15 minutes to figure out how to turn the car off because you don't have to, but I had no idea. Yeah. And like, granted, I was so bought into the brand already, like it wasn't a bad experience. Yeah. But the more you can do to just make sure people are like, here's how to use it. Here's everything you need to know.
So I'm curious. So when did you get your car? What year?
This year. this year. This probably January.
Did they do the whole like 1 hour sit with you and train you thing?
I think they stopped that during COVID.
No, it was like
that is,
maybe. Yeah, it was like a vending machine.
See,
it was
dude,
kind of like a vending machine, like no personal,
years.
which I don't mind.
8
like,
years.
I think
8 years ago when I bought my Tesla, I went to the dealership to pick up the car. Like I ordered it online. I did all the things. I thought it was the coolest thing. I go there and they wouldn't let me out of there without like a 1 hour orientation. The guy, and like, I bought cars before. Like usually I just get the keys and go home, guys. Like I didn't book an hour. And the guy was like, no, like we really like this is unlike anything you've ever used before. You know, we need to show you how to use it so that you don't have a bad experience and you don't screw something up. Cause like, dude, there's all kinds of weird shit in that car. If you come from like a regular car to a Tesla, there's a bunch about like, there's a, like the doors, the handles, the screen, the like you reboot the braking. The car.
Yeah.
I had no idea any of it. Yeah.
If there's an issue, it's like hold the 2 buttons down and let the damn thing reboot. I'm like, no, you do that with a computer, not a car. So that whole onboarding experience is another one of those like inspiration things for me. And then lately, so I ordered a Rivian a year ago.
Did you get it?
Right.
Okay.
Like a year and a half ago. Like I saw one of where I am on the list, but it's definitely not near the top. Yeah. But what I say, like, I think Eli, like what they've done is like, they give me a person, like a concierge, right? That I can contact if I have questions, like anything. I don't ever reach out to this person, but like,
but you know, I
got a person, you know, and every now and again,
we talk about that often. Yeah. We talk about that often.
Do you worry?
Just one thing. We talk about that often. I think the exciting thing for me around orientation is number one, setting expectations. Yeah. So like people know like, okay, you might run this thing the first time and it won't be fully dirt, and that's okay. That's regular. Yes. The second thing in our universe, when we think about makeup, it's like every single negative review on a product like Miracle Balm, which is our bestseller, is the same thing. It's like, it was too sticky, it was too tacky. Both of those things are incorrect usage. And it's so easy to resolve properly. The thing that we think about the most often is like, what should be pre-purchase, what should be post-purchase, and what method should it be? And should it be a video? Should it be a text? Should it be an email? Should it be, and I think that we probably do a lot of analysis paralysis, and we should probably just start testing it.
Yeah, I think you just add the touch points and you see how people respond, right? Like we're the same, man. Like every single negative review on Lomi is the first cycle didn't work as expected, or I need a phone number to talk to somebody because the first cycle didn't work as was expected. Like we will get people say like, your customer service is terrible. And my CX team is like, dude, we responded in like 20 minutes. What do you mean? And then when you dig deeper and you ask, they're like, I just want to call you. Or like we had this woman who sent me, like literally sent me a message, like a DM on Facebook. She's in her 60s.
Oh gosh. And
she's like, I'm having a hard time getting a response from your CX team. And I'm like, okay. And I went over and I talked to Sarah, who leads our CX team. I'm like, this doesn't seem right. And she's looking and she's like, no, I don't have anything from this woman. You know what? Her husband was texting our SMS number. And from a phone, he was on some kind of phone responding to like our text marketing, SMS marketing, and was getting back an automated response on how he should contact. But like they were older, so they didn't know how to do it.
Makes sense. No, it makes sense. I imagine text is probably not even like that big and important for you guys.
It doesn't.
Just saying that.
No. Like I actually my bet right now is I bet you FaceTime will be. Think about grandparents.
That's so funny. So how do you think about COGS and like gross margins? Like if you're, let's say every user, every customer you acquire is getting, a person's time and an hour of their time, like, is that scalable? How do you think about like, are you building that into like your contribution margin?
I think we're so early in this that like, I have no idea what the human cost is actually going to like calculate out to. We can calculate so much in your business except for that. I don't think the majority of people are going to actually require or take us up on that kind of experience.
Good point.
What I do believe is our super user will. Like every brand has like 10% of their customers that do the majority of the brand lift, right? The word of mouth, all the things. And I think that they will be the ones who are like very into it. Cause like the definition of a super is like, they'll buy all your stuff, right? Like once they're in, they're in, you know, and you could just like continue to give them things and they'll buy it. And they engage, and you know, there's just like a bunch about them, like they're fully bought into whatever the story is.
Totally.
And so I think that like the people cost for us, the way I look at it is, it's work worth doing. I like doing manual shitty things for a while. You know, like I tell my team all the time, like,
why is that? You think just like other people won't,
other
you like
people
doing
won't.
stuff that like your competition
I love
won't
that,
do?
man. Like we did this in Pela case. Like we did things the industry would never do. Like I would send out, we had our whole team record personal thank you videos for every customer in the Pela case business. Like, and people are like, that's not scalable. I'm like, well, it is when you find out that 75% of your customers share the same 250 names. Figure your shit out, guys. Like use your brain, you know, like there's like Jen and Matt, like you can knock a lot of customers off with like not a lot of names. And you can create like this really personal. So like I recorded like 40 or 50 of these myself in my backyard on my iPhone, one-on-one, like, hey Cody, just saw your order. Thanks so much. It means a lot to us. Like I'm actually in my backyard. I'm the founder of the business. Like I would do that.
Incredible.
And then like, you know, those videos are still being sent to people if the name matches. So I think that's how I look at it. It's like, you got to do the manual crappy, make your fingers bleed work. Like Eli, to your point, like that's the only way to test if your theories are true, right? Is to like do the crappy work. Don't start out. I do not like starting out automating things. I hate it. You know, like I feel like it's like there's so many automated little black boxes that you can buy with tools, right? And especially in D2C, there's more tools than there is brands. You know, so like do the crappy work first. Like we're gonna put a video, like a live chat video service up on our site. So pre-purchase, if you'd like to talk to someone face-to-face, almost like you do in a retail store, like you can do that. I'm going to actually man the video like that for the first like couple days.
What's crazy about this is, Matt, is A, nobody will do it. B, like I bet my last dollar that you'll see increase in conversion just because people will think like this is legit.
Yep.
Like these people are on the fucking ball. And I think it's like, to your point, right? Like you'll send out you'll sell 100,000 Lomis. 10 people will actually FaceTime you for an hour, but every single one of those 100,000 people will feel 10 times more confident purchasing it, which is like, boom.
That's like go back. I remember doing this on a site called Snugglebugs, which is like owned by a friend of mine. It sells like baby stuff, right? It's one of the first sites I ever built. My wife designed it. I built it. And Ben is still like a really good friend. Like we go mountain biking once a year together. So go back 10 years ago, one of the best conversion lists we ever got in that business was putting the phone number in the header. Like legit, a phone number. It's like, if you need to call someone, you can. And I couldn't believe the overall conversion lift we got from just nobody called. The volume of calls was tiny. It was just like straight up lift because of trust.
It's trust. Yeah, trust.
That's brand building, right? Like brand building is feelings. Like it's how people feel. And then really what we're in the business of is like transfer of trust. You know, like we're constantly as brand owners, you're trying to create and transfer trust to the consumers that they, you know, exchange money for whatever problem you're solving for them.
100%. I mean, I hate the normal DTC welcome flows, or not even welcome flows, but like abandoned cart flows. Like you left something behind, your cart's going. And like we just redid ours. Like it's entirely objection handling. And when I say that, it's not like hardcore direct response, but it's like whatever we think there are potential reasons for not feeling confident enough to purchase. Like we're trying to just provide them education on their journey, whether that's how to use the products. For us, it's like how to pick the right shade.
How to pick the right shade.
And so some stuff we do like, we'll try to get them to take our quiz. If they've taken our quiz and they haven't bought, we'll literally do like a plain text email from a CXer, be like, hey, like what questions do you have? Like I'm here to help you. Like, and Eli, like after talking to Matt, we could probably take it up.
Try an email that's like, you know, whatever stage, right? In that sort of abandoned cart thing. Literally the email subject line is like, do you want to talk? That's it. just ask, like, would you like to talk to someone? Like we can get you on the phone, or we can get you in live chat with like a real person. They're right here in America. Like just try that kind of messaging. And because if your customer's older, that like I think like the thing is you gotta remember, like anybody over the age of 40, right? Like I'm 41. I remember the early days of online shopping. Trust was not exactly very high. So like there's a lot of PTSD for that generation of people when it comes to buying things on the internet. That's why so many of them love Amazon so much, right? Because like Amazon broke through a lot of those trust barriers. But like my parents still talk about like, is there still credit card fraud online? Like if I put my credit card in, is that company stealing it? And I'm like, that hasn't been a fucking thing in 10 years, Mom. Like, you know, like, come on. Shopify, like we fixed this. But there's still all that stuff. So like I find if you just ask people, like, do you want to talk? Like you can text us or call us. Here's a phone number. See what happens. You might find it doesn't do anything, but at least you asked. And you might actually get you might find out that shade has little to do with it for a certain percentage of your people.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Definitely. Let's test
it. I mean, Eli, I'm sure you see this all the time, but like the only question that matters in any product for any customer in any category is, will this work for me?
100%. Yeah.
Every question, every objection, Cody, that you're busting is just a derivative of that question.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Right. So like, you know, a lot of the times what's funny, like, I don't know if you guys notice this, but like for us, the shit people always say first is never actually the truth.
Yep.
Customers, like they flat out lie.
Yep.
They tell you exactly what you think, like they think you want to hear.
Always.
You know?
Yeah.
Dude, like my buddy does this. He owns a software company that sells into like schools. And he's another one of these like customer obsessed founders. He will spend like 3 hours on the phone with a prospective customer. And he will try to say as little as possible. He's like, because if I just shut up and let them talk, I'll eventually get to the truth. You know, and it's like, and inevitably, it's like when they think the call's ending, they drop something like an, oh, by the way, you know, like, or they make an offhand comment about something that frustrates them. And that's actually where you should be focused the whole time.
If you're growing fast, just like we are, you know exactly how hard cash flow management can be. You've got customers to acquire, you've got ads to fund, you've got inventory to finance, especially if you don't want to dilute yourself by raising around. What options do you have? Enter Wayflyer. With Wayflyer, you can get fast, flexible funding from $10K to $20 million at the best possible rates. No collateral, no dilution, just the funding you need to improve your working capital and help you grow your business. Join the thousands of businesses using Wayflyer to fund their growth. Go to wayflyer.com/pod to learn more.
It's crazy. I mean, Matt, I always talk about to my team, I say like the best CXers in the universe are people that can read between the lines, because like you're saying, the customer never, ever, ever actually says what's really bothering them. It's always like, I'm so frustrated about X, Y, and Z. And it's not really X, Y, and Z. It's the ABC, but they're kind of like, because what I always tell my team is if somebody's way too frustrated for something that feels very juvenile, then we got to keep digging. Like if they're like insanely angry about an order that came 1 day late, we obviously set incorrect expectations, or they actually hate the product. So let's ask them how they feel about the product, and then we'll address the delay to get to the root of it. And I think
power of questions, man. It's
100%.
Like, you ask the right question, you get a much better quality answer. That's like I'm actually like on a public set. That's like I've never been a huge fan of NPS because I think it's like it's very nebulous.
Not enough questions.
Right? It's not enough, and it's not like it doesn't produce like a whole lot of tactical anything. It actually all it does is make you want to ask more questions. So like all I like to do is like I like to go in regular. Like what we do is like post purchase in the thank you in the order.
I love this. Email. Yeah, I know where you're going.
I always like to ask a new question.
Yeah.
One, I don't include a fucking survey either. Like people don't like surveys. I just say like, hey, it's so and so. Just respond to this email. If you could let us know that you got the email, number one, and just like if you could answer this question, just respond to this email. The feedback's awesome. Like the shit you find out, like it's great.
Your question, Matt, that you used to ask was like, what was the one thing that made you almost not purchase?
Yeah,
is like my favorite question in the universe, because is just like, that's like what almost pushed you to not purchase is, I mean, that's genius,
especially in that moment. Like they're now in
regret,
post-purchase euphoria. right before they move to regret. So like you're kind of hijacking the dopamine hit from buying something. Because that, like, next to your unboxing, that order thank you is probably the most opened email you send out. Like the most open thing.
We always talk about how, to me the most important thing around that post-purchase, I think, coming from Olipop, where a lot of the work we did was like viewing, this more omni-channel business. It was 70% retail, 30% B2C. And what we saw consistently was e-commerce shoppers were more pissy about the price than retail shoppers. And the logic is quite straightforward. Is like, if you bought an ice cold can in a store, you enjoy it 3 seconds later. The regret is so tiny. Whereas online, it's like you order something, you're like, oh shit, I just spent $36 on 12 cans of soda. And then it takes a week to get to you. And in that time, 99% of businesses say nothing, because they're just like, let's just not say a word, or they're already cross-selling, post-selling, upselling, right? Instead of like, let's resell the solution. Like, let's make you feel good about it.
Confirm. I think there was a while where I think in Pela case, we were a little too salesy post-purchase, and they hadn't even gotten the case yet. And once we stopped doing that, we actually started listening to people, like, and this is the thing, like, when you actually listen to your customers, like really listen, you learn so much about your product, and you learn a lot about your customer, but you learn a lot more about your product. Like, I would say, like, as a company, we're not in the best of all the marketers. We're very good at product. Like, we know how to invent shit. We know how to make things. Like, we know how to do that, and we know how to iterate. But I think the customer feedback, like, you actually have to, like, be obsessive over what they're saying. So, like, that whole, rather than sell them in the first sort of 2 weeks after buying a Pela case, we just started listening and talking. And we found out that people, one of the things they loved about it was actually how the case felt. Like, it felt soft to them. We never thought that. Like, we never in a million years thought that people were buying it for that reason. And we didn't even know that that was a benefit that people gave a shit about. But it's like, oh, it doesn't feel like cheap plastic in my hand. It actually feels kind of like a leather without it being leather. I'm like, my God. So we actually adjusted all of our front end marketing to lean into how it feels in your hand, right? I would say the vast majority of our marketing and our messaging comes from some kind of customer review or feedback. Vast majority. Like, we don't have to make that up. They could do it for us.
So what is your marketing stack? I would imagine it's probably a little bit different than the typical GTC brand, just with, age differences and stuff like that and what you're selling. Like, what channels are big for you guys, and just how are you looking at things overall?
We've done, so Pela case is very like Gen Z. So D2C is the bulk of that business, right? Lomi, boomer, Gen X, millennial. Our theory is it's going to be a much larger retail business than it will be a D2C business.
Are you in retail right now?
We're starting.
Got it.
Like, we're really early days. Like, we have a launch with Sam's Club in a couple months. We did a whole program with Best Buy for the last 3 months with buy online, pick up in store in their top 200 stores. That went well.
Cool.
Dude, we turned on Amazon Marketplace and started selling like 30 Lomis a day without Prime and no reviews.
It's crazy.
And no marketing.
Makes sense what you're talking about. Yeah. People that you're not capturing. For you guys, it makes sense.
So, like, we have a product that really needs to be seen. It's totally new. It needs to be explained. Our D2C marketing is like long form video. Usually I'm the face explaining the product. Heavy YouTube, heavy television. Okay. Not like it doesn't work that well. Instagram, TikTok, like, it's not really the best channels for us.
Does Facebook do okay?
For sure, that works. It does. Not as good as YouTube and TV though. Like, there's just I think that people are, when they go on YouTube, they are investing time in YouTube. Whereas like Facebook is still very feed and scroll driven. So like when I throw like a 2.5 minute, ad at YouTube pre-roll, I'll get, 20, it'll cost me 20 cents to get somebody to watch 90% of that video.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's as good as a click all day long, right? That's a real investment in time
For sure.
that somebody spent watching that video. So, we like platforms like that, that builds awareness. And then, for us, like the way we look at channel strategy with Lomi is like, it's going to be mostly about distribution points. And that's because of price point. It's also because like it's a kitchen appliance, and think about like, where do people typically buy kitchen appliances? It's not really a D2C thing, like it's Bed Bath & Beyond, it's Macy's, it's Best Buy, it's Target, like, and these are all like, we're pretty much going into all the majors. Like we're going into Club, Sam's Club, Costco, so like, my guess is like, knowing what I know about the appliance industry now, it's probably like a 70% plus retail business.
Interesting.
30%, owned.
And will that change? Will
That's
your
my
marketing
guess.
strategy change at all? You think how you'll do things with? Yeah.
Yeah. Way more TV.
Yeah.
Like we are just
pretty much
starting.
all awareness. Just go pretty much everything into awareness.
Yeah. I'm also very, like we do focus on geography.
Okay.
Like we don't have to market everywhere. Like when you look at it, like this is, I think a mistake a lot of brands make. And I think Facebook screwed this up for all of us, in that Facebook's like what's best practice, right? Go wide in your advertising, go broad, let Facebook do the targeting. But we never stop to look at like, well, who is actually buying and where do they live? Like, tell me about these people. Like, you can't just say, Facebook, you tell me about these people. That Facebook's not going to tell you shit about what targeting is working. So we recently had like a whole bunch, we had now like this company go do a bunch of work for us. It was actually part of a venture fund that did this. And they went through all 100,000 customers and they like mapped it up against these like large data sets from Equifax, Oracle, like all kinds of stuff, right? And they spit out this like psychographic demographic analysis of our customers. And then they broke those 100,000 customers into like the top 10 household types that those customers live in. So like, they're like, here are the people, right? Here's where they live. This is like the kind of income they have. Here are their belief systems. Here's where else they shop. Like all this stuff. And it just became abundantly clear. We're like, wow, like we have 50 zip codes in the USA with about 1 million homes. And in that 50 zip codes, we already have several that are like at a 1.5 to 2.5% penetration rate at a household level. So if that zip code, like look at Calabasas, right? Calabasas has got like 2,000 homes and I've already got 2% of them. So, tipping point math is like get to 5% household penetration. And all of a sudden in a very small area, you are perceived to be everywhere.
Yeah. So you just kind of start like,
and therefore everyone's like, well, I want one.
Yeah.
Right. So I care a lot about like, I care about channels. And then I care about like we do actually care about geography. Like we're trying to tip geos before I try to tip channels.
That makes sense. So like if you look at that and you're in like 2%, are you trying to bomb that area with like TV? Are you doing any direct mail?
Yeah. Yeah. TV, direct mail now. Like we're just starting direct mail. So instead of like a regular direct mail piece, we built like this little 12-page sort of like mini magazine.
Nice.
That's got like some gardening tips in it and, a bunch of other shit. It's got a letter from me. Like it's just, you're less likely to throw something out that looks like good. It's not like a 1-page, like buy my shit.
Yeah.
So we're doing all that. And then like, we're going to go deep there. Like we're going to join like local Facebook groups. We're going to test like attending farmers markets in those areas, so like
you're going old school.
Team. But it's like that's kind of how this works.
Oh, I love it. No, I didn't mean that as a bad thing. I love it. It's like the reason why we wanted to have you on is because we wanted to chat about like just building stuff differently and not just like, oh, we're running Facebook, we're running TikTok. Like I think we're all super bored of hearing that. But even if it does work, we're also super bored of hearing it.
It's so narrow.
Yeah.
Like guy, like look at the data, man. Like look at the percentage of transactions that still happen in store for most categories, right? And the digital marketers love to like squabble over like, well, how much of that was influenced by online? I'm like, I don't give a shit. It happened in store.
Okay.
Like they didn't trust you enough to do it online.
Yeah.
They went in. So even if you're right, get your shit together in real life. Like it doesn't matter. 85% of your dollars are there. So I think that like I've been in this like e-commerce thing now for 15, 16 years. The last 6 to 8 is really the echo chamber of D2C it became dogmatic. Right. And before that, like my business partner, Brad, he's almost 50. His last company was a toy company, like well into the 9 figures, multi 9 figures, all retail, like did very little online. And everybody was always telling him like, dude, like you got to go e-commerce. He's like, but Walmart, like Target, Toys R Us, like they do massive volumes. So I think it's very product dependent. I think it's super category dependent. Like, this is just my experience. And with these products.
I mean, Matt, I think shifting consumer behavior is just like, I mean, I'm coming from a universe where we were trying to sell 12 packs of soda online, shipping to your door. That shit's hard.
That's so hard.
It's hard.
Man. Like, I don't try new soda online.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
maybe I'm just, I don't know. Like, that's just not a thing I'm going to do. When I'm in Whole Foods though, or like I spent the month of March in Manhattan Beach and, I went into an Erewhon for the first time and I'm like, I tried
what a
all
universe.
the shit.
Yeah. Erewhon
like
is
all of it, man. My wife and I went into Erewhon and I filled like, those little baskets.
That's
that you got?
$1,000.
Dude, we bought like $300 in fucking drinks. It was just like, I want all the things, Number one, I'm also in Canada. I don't get any of this stuff. But I tried everything. I tried Olipop for the first time. We tried all the drinks.
Mm-hmm.
And like just kind of went home.
Any favorites? Anything stick out?
No.
Yeah.
Now it's like that was March. It's August now. And I'm like, I forgot. But
so none of them are on subscription now.
No, I don't. And I didn't go home and order any of that crap either.
I mean, Matt, what's crazy about that is like, I think, as somebody that is no longer in that industry, looking back, I think the reason why Olipop was such a success and we built from 0 or 100 subscribers to 10,000 people getting Olipop monthly is because we were omni-channel, because we had 70% was still retail. So people would try it in retail and then like, oh, I want to order a couple of cases or vice versa. But I think flexibility is so important. I think I think you're spot on with Lomi. It's like, this product is expensive. Potentially like a large group of this population of people that are purchasing it feel more comfortable in retail. But I think giving consumers the choice is probably the ultimate goal. But I think it's the fact that we were able to even sell soda online, shipping 12 packs across the country is fucking bizarre. I mean, that fact that even works is crazy.
It shows you like there's definitely a paradigm shift happening in real time, like right in front of our faces. It's not very fast.
Yeah.
But like that is where we are, right? Like you can buy a lot of things now and get it delivered to your door that people wouldn't have done that 5 years ago or 10 years ago. And like Shopify, like Harley, man, I've known Harley almost 14 years at this point. But like Harley has been talking about like you got to be where your customer is. They've been banging that drum for as long as I've known those guys. And they're not wrong. Like the nuance in all of it is you don't sell to every customer. Mm-hmm. That's the truth. Like not every American is not your customer. Mm-hmm. To say like women over 40 are all going to buy Jones Road, it's not. Mm-hmm. Like there's a segment of the population. It's going to be a very big one, right? Like that's your actual like sellable, addressable market. And meeting those people where they want to be, like it's bonkers. Like are you guys familiar with like the MoMA Museum of Modern Art?
Yep.
They have like these design stores in New York. Okay. It's like they have these shops all over town. They asked to sell Lomis in these stores. And like, I've never been into a MoMA in my life. Like I didn't even know, I'm like, I know what the Museum of Modern Art is. I didn't realize you had retail shops.
Yeah. I didn't know that.
So I give you like, this is how I know that like Lomi is a better retail product than it is DC one. In the world of small appliance in retail, okay, the average small appliance on a per store basis will sell like 0.5 units per week per store. Mm-hmm. Okay. We put Lomi into all the MoMA stores in New York, and they sell 7 Lomis per week per store.
That is insane. That's
right.
Wild.
Because somebody can see it. They walk up. They're like, oh, I think I saw a YouTube ad or a TV ad for that. Talk to somebody in the store, and they can walk out with it.
That's your brand.
Right? That's brand.
Yep.
That's like, so I catch shit all the time from, my DR friends. That like, YouTube doesn't work as a DR channel. I'm like, well, I don't know, man. Like, if you saw my brand search.
I feel like at this point, Matt, I mean, if you fucked around and ended up at a Calabasas market, a little moment over there, I think you'd be recognized. I feel like you'd be recognized walking down any street in New York at this point with the amount of views you've had on your ads and you being the face of most of it.
I had that in like the LA airport. I had like somebody stop, like actually like standing in line. Somebody was like, I recognize you from somewhere.
Incredible.
And like the wife is like, that's the guy with the machine. I'm like, fuck.
You've been hitting that zip code. Yeah.
Dude. Yeah. Yeah. That video's been watched, like some version of our hero video has been watched maybe 130 million times.
I mean, and then the other one with Gareth, your CMO Gareth also.
Oh, God.
I mean,
that like the lifetime supply of dirt.
Yeah.
That video was like, dude, that was so funny. Like, imagine, like we shot that in our office.
A zillion views.
Dude, it was so funny. Like they actually, like our videography, like our team, like brought in like a giant pile of like fucking manure and dirt, and they buried Gareth in it.
I'm gonna link that in the show notes.
That was the video. It was awesome. Yeah, I'm like, okay, so like Cody, I'm a big fan of like narrative, well-produced video. I think it's like it's actually the underutilized asset in D2C now. That's the funny thing. It's gone all UGC, and we haven't actually done it a lot.
It's all UGC right now, at least.
Insane. Like go back just like a few years and look at what like the Harmon Bros used to do. Like watch like the Purple Mattress videos, and like you can criticize the mattress companies all you want, but like some of their stuff was incredible.
That Dollar Shave video.
Insane. The Dollar Shave video, like, they don't have to be funny. Like the Harmon Bros, everything was about comedy. Same with Dollar Shave, but like you can do all kinds of long form video where like you just ask really compelling questions as you're opening, right? Like the Lomi video the first video was, what if you could change the world with the push of a button? And the one after that
that's such an amazing hook. It's so simple, but you can't not want to watch after that.
You have to watch. And then the second one that like went really ballistic, the intro was, what if you could get rid of your garbage at the push of a button?
Genius.
Right? Like, so it's just like questions, and they're not funny. It's just me. Like, dude, there's nothing special about watching me talk on video. But they work.
Well, I mean, I think the thing that you've gone pretty popular in our D2C Twitter world is around your tweets of questions to ask. Like, I think in general, you've been thinking about questions to ask in interviews, questions to ask about culture. And I think that, I mean, I'd love to hear more about your mindset.
Leadership, man.
Yeah.
Leadership is like, ask a question, shut up. Like, just shut up. It's probably also good marriage advice.
Well, it's also, you said that's like sales is ask a question, shut up. Kind of marketing too.
And marriage advice. Yeah.
I think as marketers, like, I think Cody, even you said this, like we were just like chatting on Slack about landing pages, right? It's like everything is about just getting like the smallest little yeses you can, and like walking people through like yes ladders. Like it's such a classic marketing thing. Yeah. Most of that is like, in order to get to yeses though, you have to ask people something. Mm-hmm. So like, instead of asking them to do something, I just like to ask questions in our funnels to see what people respond with. Mm-hmm. And it kind of gets them invested. So like, you're really like, the DR in me is like sunk cost bias all the way, man. So like the more little yeses I get, the more invested they are in us.
Oh, totally. No, that's what I love, when you can take like the direct response principles, not necessarily take like the tactics, like take like brand building tactics, but like put those direct response principles in there. And I think it's super powerful.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, DR has a place, right? Like you need short-term performance. You can't just like do brand building long-term without short-term performance. Like, I got a board, I have investors. I report to them. So it's like, there's still a performance angle to the business, but the right board, the right investors, the right team also looks at it like this is not a 1 quarter game. This is probably not even a
For sure
1 to 3 year game. This is like likely a, like most businesses take at least 2 seasons, right? It's like the 2 5-year seasons for most businesses. There's exceptions, start and finish in under 5 years, and 1 season they're in and out. But most are like, you should be looking at it like 10 years. If you're in it for like an exit or some kind of outcome, right?
Yeah.
And if your 5 to 10 year business is predicated on the success of one single ad platform, I think we can all agree you're kind of fucked. Yeah.
Yeah, man. That's where I think, Cody, watching what you tweet, like, and I think, it's funny, like I'm in a bunch of these like iMessage and text groups with a whole bunch of bigger brands, and like they take a much longer view of things. Yeah. They for sure do. And
Ridge Wallet is a great example, right?
Yeah, I mean, like Sean's got a group that he set up
where
it's like everybody's in the 9 figures plus, all multi-channel. Like I will say Ridge, Sean and Connor are freaking unreal, and they're like definitely 2 of the smarter people I've ever encountered. Like they're wild. But like most of the brands that are in the group are like retail heavy, multi-channel heavy, very long view. Sean, they both take a long view. Like the way they're building that company is very long view. They lean much more performance marketing heavy, but they still do it. Like they still look at it from a like, how are we building the brand perspective?
Yeah, and I also think it seems like now they have the awareness that like to get to whatever the next step is. I know they want to be like Yeti size. Like they know they're not going to get there through Facebook ads, through like optimizing their landing pages.
No, you guys should have Connor on, man. Connor as a marketer is like, he is wicked smart. I've spent some time with Connor, and like he's wicked smart.
Yeah, he's smart.
If you want to do
with him and
just
Sean
a performance marketing episode, like that's the guy I would bring on. Because they've tried so much. It's so much fun to watch them build. Even though Sean's mostly a shit poster. I'll text him I'll tell him he's mostly a shit poster.
I think he'd agree with that.
Yeah, he would. He shit posts in our freaking iMessage group too.
I think he'd agree.
But I think like I think there's like a handful of like standout people in this community that are doing like that. We're all trying to climb the same mountain. Everybody's taking a different path up. Like that's the fun thing with this. And if you're, even people who listen to podcasts and stuff, like it's you can't just mimic what somebody else does. Like that actually doesn't work, right? Like what we do for Lomi, it works for us right now. And even then I would say like there's lots of stuff that isn't working for us right now. So like, do not just look at us and say like, I'm going to go do that.
I agree with that. But also what works for you guys would probably not work for most DTC brands.
Oh God, no. Oh my God, no. Like, we, in this one group that we're in, like I'm the only one that makes YouTube work, but I'm the only one selling something for $500.
Yeah. How
Right?
long is that
Everybody else
consideration
is like 100
phase?
and under. Pardon me?
How long is the consideration phase, do you think?
Dude, months. Like we still have people, like we will see it in Instagram comments and video comments. Like this is on my Christmas wish list.
Yeah.
Like, we'll have people that'll be like, I saw this last year and I've been thinking about it. And every time I see that, by the way, like I will actually personally, like I message people, like I DM them and I ask them tell me, like, what is it? Like, do you guys know Leanna Patch? She's on Twitter. Yeah. She's like a copywriter.
So Leanna, Punchline.
Yeah. Punchline. She's great too. She's like super funny. So Leanna, I posted something about Lomi like maybe a week or 2 ago. And Leanna's like, oh, I've been meaning to get one. And I know Leanna. So like, I instantly go into Twitter DMs. I'm like, what the fuck? like Leanna, like what is it? Why are you not buying it? And the nice thing with Leanna is like, she actually took the time to think about it. She's like, her first response, and I'm sure she won't mind me sharing this, is like, she's like, honestly, I don't know anything about composting. So I've been like kind of intimidated to even start. And in true Leanna version, she's like, I feel like I need to start with the basic bitch version, which is just a bucket on my counter. Like that's Leanna. Like she's a freaking comic all the time. And then actually the most insightful thing that she said, which got us asking more customers this, which is she's like, I've also bought a lot of stuff for my kitchen that I no longer use. And I don't know if this fits. Like, I don't know if I'll use it. In that like little tweet, that like little DM she sent me, I'm like, I went to our marketing team. I'm like, is this common? Can we find out if this is common? Because if this is common, put this crap on our landing page. Like, let's like get it further up.
That's where I'm at right now. By the way, like I told you that like I got one for my dad, and my dad and brother are using it all the time. I'm building a house right now, and I'm like probably like 70% gonna get it, but I have no idea if we're gonna have room for it. And then also like my wife is gonna kill me because like we're not using the Instapot and the air fryer. So like if I get another thing that we don't use, she's gonna kill me.
Coming off the air fryer high, which has got like a 50% household penetration.
You should do like an air fryer buyback program. Can you buy back my air fryer?
No, credit? I don't want them. And this is the thing. Funny. So like, and a lot of like, our challenge as in this particular product category is like, we have to get people out of comparing Lomi to air fryers and blenders.
Same shape, huh?
Dude, it's you have to compare it to a dishwasher. Right? Use a dishwasher every day. Nobody looks at their dishwasher. No wife ever is going to ask the husband, like, did you really need to buy that dishwasher, man? Like, what a stupid ass. Nobody says that, right? So it's kind of a like, we have to get that, like, it has to be framed into this is a daily use appliance, not I'm going to pull it out and use my air fryer once every 3 weeks when I have company over. Like, this like the nuance of customer journey is fascinating.
I mean, to kind of take this full circle and wrap it up, like that's category creation.
It is like yeah, man, it really is.
How are you doing that? Is that just everywhere? Is that just, that's branding and being consistent in every messaging, like showcasing that?
We spend a lot of time on words and like, what do we say? When do we say it? Where? What's the medium? Like even the guys so like Christopher Lockhead, Eddie Yoon, and Nicholas Cole, they have this Substack called Category Pirates, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So like I got those three guys to be on our board of advisors. Like I literally like I'm going to give you guys options, shares in our company. And I want you to help us think about what it is to create categories. So like I'm just, I gather up the smartest people I can, get them into this brain trust. And then we spend every 2 weeks, I get on the phone for an hour and I'm like, I talk about like, here's what we're learning about the customer. Here are the words that are working. Here's what's kind of falling flat. And then they help us shape sort of messaging and ideation around like future products that we could sell to these people and like all of that. Like, so, category creation to me is like, we focus, I only actually really care about like 10 to 20% of my customers. Like I care about the supers a lot. Everybody else has like so many varying reasons for buying and doing something that it's hard to cater to them, whereas like if I just cater to this 10 to 20% and I get better and better and better at them, the brand will build, like they will do the work. So yeah, I that's how I look at it.
All right. Well, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but you've clearly left Eli and I speechless. So we got a lot to think about. But now this was awesome. Really, really, really appreciate you coming on, especially last minute dropping bombs. Man, I think so this is probably one of our best episodes yet, if not the best. So I'm super excited for this to come out.
Yeah, let's see what people think. And
I don't say this often, but I just fucking love your brain. Like I just love the way you think. I love the way you're building. I mean, we've had a couple of conversations, and every single one, I'm just left like, I'm inspired by the way you think about like, I think very many people have like one thing they go deep on. You are like very deep on a million different things, but super passionate about it. And yeah, I mean, like, I think that I can talk to you about customer experience and go deeper than most. And that's like one of the zillion things you're doing every day. So I'm inspired. Fun. Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
That's I'm inspired. Like, I can tell from all the people on Twitter, like I can tell that Cody actually likes what he does. Like, you can just tell. right? Like
A lot of
like
growth people are kind of bitter, huh?
I'm obsessed.
Yeah, they're like kind of curmudgeon, you know, and then, you know, like there's just some people that like they just this is the like I love, like, I'm such a believer in like network is your net worth, and you know, like trying to collect the best people and bring them into your life, because like most of it is just like if they're really having fun, you know, like if they're nerds, like I love nerds, like nerds about anything. I don't care what you're a nerd about, like I just want to listen to nerds because you can learn so much, you know. So like if you're building a brand, like I don't know how many founders are going to watch this or listen to this, you know, but like if you're have a hand in building a brand, you kind of you actually do need to know a lot. Like it's a wildly complex thing. So you know, the more nerds you can talk to and the more that you kind of like just find joy in exploring all this crap, it's actually like that's why I do it, you know. Much to my wife's chagrin, I think she'd prefer I be retired at this point.
I love it. Well, don't retire before you get the Rivian. I think it's part of the retirement package.
I need the truck. I mountain bike a lot, and driving the Tesla around the mountain bike trails is not.
It's not it.
No, not what the car was designed for.
That's too funny. Well, it's been such a pleasure. We're delighted to have you, and thanks for joining.
Yeah, man, this has been fun. Thanks, guys.
Definitely. Yeah. Thanks, Matt.